Good afternoon and welcome to the Kerry Garden Show. Alan Finn here with you in Killorglin. We're by the Puck statue here in Killorglin. It survived the week and I'm sure Puck knows an awful lot about good grass, but we need a gardening expert and that's where Trish comes in. Let's head to Boyles Garden Centre and talk to her. So we find ourselves leaving the festivity cleanup of Puck Fair behind us, and we're here in Boyles of Killorglin. We've made it. You're in one piece.
Just about.
And we're under the sun here in Boyles of Killorglin. How are you doing, Trish?
I'm doing great. The sunshine is absolutely fabulous now we've had the last week, and everybody's in great moods, and it's been a fantastic week, I suppose, in Killorglin with Puck Fair, so all is good in Killorglin.
And it is so hot. It is so warm in
here.
It is. The sun, it's really, like, apart from everyone else enjoying it, you're underneath the
tunnel.
Yeah,
so it is a little bit hot, all right, but look at, we're keeping everything
I'm sure these fellas love it. I'm sure they
do. Yeah, but like that now, you do have to care for your plants throughout the sunny conditions then as well. I suppose, like, first off, people that maybe are going on holidays this time of the year, you know, how do I look after my plants in my garden as well? So if you've got pots and things like that, just group them together and put them into a shady spot, because obviously it's the sunshine that's absorbing the moisture from the plants. So if they're in a nice shady spot, they'll take less water, and give them a good watering before you go. Yeah,
and I suppose it could just be for this week. If you were going away for a week or a weekend or even 2 weeks or whatever, you'll be sure that we'll have a little bit of water coming our way next week. Probably not to be ruining on it, but I'm sure everyone's garden is looking absolutely pristine and gorgeous at the moment. And you know what, Trish, I was only thinking about it. We'd absolutely love to see people's photographs. If you have got a beautiful garden that's in full bloom and full colour, do please send in your photographs to us either through the Facebook page, or you can also email info@radiokerry.ie, and we might even feature a few of them. We'll have a little look at them, won't we?
Yeah, I'd love to see them, because people come in here and they get plants, and we do see them on their phones. They come in and say, God, look at the garden, you know, you get me plants or whatever, and it's fabulous to see. And I think people would like to see your garden.
Absolutely.
You know, because you get ideas from that as well. It's like looking through a magazine, a garden magazine. You're flicking through it and you're seeing beds and everything. And the more you see, the more ideas pop into your head.
Absolutely. And we're hopefully going to give people some ideas as well too today, Trish, because we're going to focus on, well, I call it dressing up maybe your front garden.
Yes.
But you're going to talk a bit more about a bit more structure and stuff like that.
It's what it's called. Caroline here said it was the curb appeal.
Oh, the curb appeal, right. So a lot of people would have their front gardens and, you know, they may not have done much with it, you know.
Yes, yeah.
And there's lots of possibilities. So let's talk about some of the things that we could possibly do to people's areas outside
Exactly.
the house.
Now I'm kind of talking small front gardens, maybe at the moment, people that are living in estates or houses that are close together, and you have a smaller garden, you're just going, what will I do, or will I bother doing anything first off? Now the first thing is that you walk up to a person's house, and the first thing that will hit you before you even go in the front door is the front garden.
Yeah.
So, like, you wonder, why do I do it? It's to greet your people that are coming to the house. And it's a nice sense that they smell the flowers while they're walking to the front door. They might hear the buzzing of the bees or see the butterflies or whatever. So it just brings, it's a good well-being, it's a good welcome coming into your house from the start.
Of course as well too, making the house look good, you know, welcoming for anybody who's coming, you know, it can add so much really to it.
It can, and like also as well, if you are selling your house down the line, it brings up the property value of your house no end as well. And again, as I say, it gets you out in the front garden. If your next door neighbours are out, it's a great way of getting to know people and chatting as well.
Yeah.
So all of that is good for our health as well. It promotes good health being as well out in the garden. I know a lot of people think that gardening is a chore, but believe me, once you're out there, you just get lost in amongst the flowers. I know people are probably think I'm crazy now. But
yeah, no, I totally agree, because you lose track of time. You know, if you're not thinking about time, you're literally concentrating on stuff and you're focusing on things, and you do kind of get lost in it. And the rewards, I always say it's the rewards at the end of the day, when you can go out and sit back at the end of a hard day. The hands might be a bit dirty, a bit blistery, a bit sore.
That's good as well. Feeling the earth is actually good for you as well.
Oh, is it another good thing?
As well.
Reconnecting with Mother Nature.
That's
it. But yeah, no, it's great to just sit back and relax, and then just be able to relax in front and be proud of what it is.
That's it. Now, I suppose the first thing to start off with is, where do I go about planning your front garden? It's most important, rather than coming in here to the garden centre, grabbing a few shrubs, a few flowers, and going home and planting them. You need to look at the garden first. So you stand at the front of your house, you're looking towards your house, and you're kind of just trying to visualize, will a bed be nice there along the fence, maybe that's segregating between you and your neighbor?
Yeah, or a wall.
Yeah, or a wall or whatever. Or should I put it in the front of the house? Or should I put it down the path? You might, when you're going into the house, you obviously have a path going down into your front door.
Yeah.
So do I do a bed on either side or on one side? But as well as looking from it from the outside, you need to go inside as well.
Okay.
Now, it's actually
and that's
quite
probably
important.
something people may not actually think about, because, you know, while it's all well and good to look welcoming, it's also nice to be able to see your work from inside your front window.
Because if you're sitting down, so say for example, your living room is where the big window is.
The bay window
The
or
bay
something.
window,
Or the big
exactly.
window,
Yeah, no, you said it. Sit down in your chair where you're sitting at night time and look out the window.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you're looking out, there might be houses across the way, or the mountains could be across the way. So you don't want to block it if you've got a nice scenery. You don't want to block it. So just visualize then where the beds, do they need a little bit of height? And obviously, if you have your bay window, the shrubs that you are getting, make sure not to have them too high.
Yeah.
Now that is more important. Like, you might buy a shrub, say for example, that size at the moment, and you'll think, that'll never grow.
Yeah.
Right? But that will actually grow to about 3 feet high. And that's probably the height of your bay window. So that's probably the highest.
The ideal, perfect.
Yeah, that you needed, or even low moundy ones would be better then as well. So just to keep all that in mind. Now, again, when we're in houses that are side beside each other, you might like a little bit of privacy as well. So maybe it is that you're just planting one single tree. Now, I don't mean a tree that's going to go to 20, 30 feet high.
Yeah.
You can get what's called a Fastigated tree, which is just an upright tree. It's like a pillar.
Okay.
Right? There's the Carpinus, which is the hornbeam. They do a lovely Fastigata one. And if you wanted to put it somewhere where maybe, I'm not saying we don't want to see our neighbours coming in, but everybody likes their own bit of privacy.
Maybe just a small bit of privacy. Yeah. 'Cause I think that could be one aspect of an estate that people living in, they might like to have a little bit of privacy.
Exactly. Yeah, just a little bit. So you kind of place it in such a way that it'll just block the traffic coming in next door.
Yeah.
So that sort of way. And then again, it's important to add your evergreen shrubs as well as your flowers. So I'm just going to go through a few shrubs that we have here.
Okay. Will we start with the shrubs, so?
Yeah, so again, now you have lovely little hebes there beside you.
Yeah, and
now,
obviously the word being little, you know, because
Yes.
that again, it's a nice low plant.
Yes.
Covers a nice little bit of an area, doesn't grow too big, and it's got just a lovely little bit of colour, because you got the variegated leaf, you got the purple, you know, on this one.
And
it's,
they either
it's
have
beautiful.
pink or purple flowers then as well, which is nice. And again, it's just a matter of bringing in the different colours into your front garden as well. Again, if you want to really go, you've got the colour of your house and the colour of your door, you could pick it up with the colour of a shrub then as well. So say if you've got kind of a limey green door, you could maybe put pinks near it, because that'll draw up the colour of your door. And it'll, you know, you'd be surprised how a little splash of colour will just add to the house then. It'll lift everything, is right. So just keep everything in mind. Like, we've lovely paint colours now inside Pat, and the paint counter can always go through it with you. The day of a brown door is gone.
The brown and black doors are very less and less. I even have a kind of a raspberry pink door, you know what I mean? And it just looks, it stands out a nice little bit, but I don't have any kind of flowers or anything outside that could actually lift it. But the house would be something that could also add to it as well too.
Exactly. Or sometimes if your door is, like you're saying, a kind of a raspberry pink, or even if it was a hot pink or anything, you'd kind of tone it down then a little bit with limey green plants, and it'll bring it down, and your door then is your focal point. Do you know, it doesn't have to be. Or as I was talking about focal points, then you've got a lovely buxus there.
Oh, the buxus,
you.
we mentioned them. They mentioned them last week when we were talking about the hedging. We've got the small little ball one in front.
Yes.
And then we've got this kind of spiral one.
It's a spiral one. So it's nice to actually have a feature in the garden then as well, whether it's like the spiral boxes or a nice ornament. We've lovely ornaments here, like men and women, do you know, the statues and stuff like that.
Beautiful stuff, yeah.
It just gives you that little bit then of a feature, and that everybody, you know, when they pass by, everybody's proud of their gardens, and if you do it nicely, it's nice for somebody to be walking by and going, God, isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
And you know, if you have your little feature then as well. So you have your evergreen shrubs then, and that's another lovely little hebe then as well. It's a lovely green one.
Yeah.
That only grows maybe a foot and a half in height, and the same in width as well.
Lovely small, tiny little leaves.
And like,
that's just...
there's no minding in that, because there's no clipping of it, because it's small, and it makes a nice little neat mound. And again, you also have the euonymus, these ones here. Now, the one I have here is a green and gold one, and we also have it in the green and the silver as well. Again, nice small little plants.
Yeah.
Now, if you were doing your bed, or whether it's the pathway going down, like if you had the pathway, you could put a couple of small evergreen shrubs, but in between
In between them, give them a splash of colour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what we have then is the sea breeze daisy, that little one there, or you have a nice little dianthus, and there's osteospermums there as well.
Yeah, beautiful little dainty
like they're
dianthus
fabulous,
here.
and you can see then the pink will bring up the pink then on the hebes. So you're matching your colours. It's like when you walk out in the morning, you're matching your clothes. Your plants need matching as well.
Yeah.
Do you know? So just to try and keep that in mind. Don't mix too many colours together. Try blend in rather than having.
That I'd say be a
Going
common
mad.
mistake.
Yes.
You know, everyone comes
Yeah.
in and gets oh, that's a lovely yellow. Oh, that's a lovely blue. That's a lovely purple.
Yeah.
But put them all together and it might
Yeah,
actually
and it
not
doesn't
work.
actually work out then, because you neither have anything really. And like a nice little bit of blue then as well. We've agapanthus there as well. Blue is always lovely for a nice pop of colour in between all the pinks and the purples, or
Yeah.
even your yellow then as well.
Yeah.
So it's just a mix. Like I've lovely echinaceas there. You can see that. Like it's absolutely fabulous.
It's beautiful.
And
Like it's a very pink, but then it's got a real green
a real
centre.
green
It's
centre to
lovely,
it
yeah.
as well. And I also have them in red as well. So
Yeah.
they're actually quite nice.
And another big pollinator
Yes.
as well. You
Yeah.
know, again, always
Yeah.
thinking, coming back to the bees, you know, the species that we need to really be thinking a lot more of. That really will be a
that'll
big
draw
attractor
them.
for
Yeah,
that.
that'll draw the bees.
And
now.
of course,
Yeah.
we've mentioned loads of times as well too the lavender.
The
A lovely
lavender,
little
yes.
beautiful purple flower at the top of it now as well too, as well as the scent.
Yes, and you have to remember that as well. Like everybody comes in the front door. Well, most people come in the front door anyway.
Yeah, it depends how welcoming the house
exactly.
is, you know.
And it's always lovely to have a bit of scent.
Yeah.
Somebody's ringing the doorbell and they're standing there, and there's a lovely, even a pot.
The postman will appreciate it.
Exactly. Now you said it. If the dog hasn't got them
If
beforehand.
the
But
Yeah.
like that, it's lovely to have the scent near the front door then as well. And then you have the potentilla, which is a lovely light pink flower. Now I have them in all the colours. I have them in the reds, the oranges, the whites. That loses its leaf in the winter.
Oh, it does,
But
okay.
your hebes keep their leaf, and
Yeah.
the euonymus. So if you kind of mix and match them then together,
Yeah.
that everything's not bare. Because I know you can have beds, say, out your back garden, or if you've got a big garden, you've got the perennials that die down in the winter. It doesn't really matter because you've got a big garden with a big lawn in it, you've got trees in it probably,
Yeah.
so you're not going to miss them as much. But I think when you're doing your small front garden, you need to have a lot of evergreen stuff in it so it
Yeah.
looks well in the winter time as well. And it's okay to have these plants that die down then. You won't notice them because you've still got your
Because
framework.
that's what they do. They might leave a little bit of a gap if you put too many floral plants together.
Yes.
Once the flowers are gone, then you've just got this kind of big hole, and it
Well,
won't.
see, that's it.
look
And it
good.
won't look good then
Yeah.
as well. So you just
So the mix and match is
mix
good.
and match, and also add in a few little nice little ornaments. Do you know, depending on your own personality as well. Do you
Of
know,
course.
to blind that in, there's little cats and dogs. There's even hens and chickens.
Yeah, you've got your kind of your features like the Easter Island heads. You've got
Yes.
tractors. There's lots of different
There's
things
lots
you
of
can add
different
in.
things you can add in.
Yeah.
If you have an electric source outside, a lot of people do with Christmas lights and stuff, they might have a socket outside. You can have a
Yeah.
nice little water feature.
Yeah.
Do you know, and depending on what way your house is facing, like you said, like if people sent in photographs,
Yeah.
we could maybe have a look and say, give ideas
Yeah.
as to what could be done. Like if you had an area then that you could just put a small table and chairs, a small little round one, maybe 2 single chairs, that you could sit in the corner.
Sit in a little corner.
Yeah, and
yeah.
again, next door neighbours might be out and you could have a chat for the night.
I remember actually the winner of the competition we ran last year had a lovely little kind of, or I think maybe they came second. They had a lovely little area just outside the back door,
Yes.
table and chairs, and
Table and
surrounded
chairs.
by lovely colours.
Yes,
So
and that's it.
That's the sort of thing you'd be kind of looking for, and you'd be looking, thinking that's something that I could achieve. But the planning, I guess, Trish, is the big thing, because if you're only working with a small area, it's key. Now,
Yes.
you mentioned something before we started to me that I found interesting as well too. You were talking about having soil too close to the actual house and what it could actually do.
Yes,
Tell me
see,
about that.
Some people then might think, I'll put my bed up against the house near the bay window over to the left or to the right of it
Yeah.
or whatever, and the soil goes up against it. But you have to remember, if there's soil up against the house, it can cause dampness to your house as well.
Yeah.
And also as well, you might get little insects and stuff that might come in the windows or whatever.
Yeah.
So keep your beds away. Now, a majority of the houses would have a footpath all around in the front of it
Yeah,
anyway.
there'd normally
so
be some sort
there'd
of
normally
thing,
be something.
But just in case if there was a spot and you might
yeah,
be thinking
just don't
about
put
that.
it up against the house, keep it away from it.
Yeah.
Now the thing is as well, because you're in the front garden, it might be smaller, you'd have to check your area first, dig down. There could be a lot of rubble.
Yeah.
A lot of builders' rubble could have been buried underneath.
The front garden, I guess, mightn't get as much, mightn't have got
You
enough.
mightn't have the depth in it.
Mightn't have enough depth, yeah.
And you have to remember that if you're planting shrubs, the roots need to go somewhere.
To go down. Yeah.
Now, the other thing then as well is how to finish off your beds. Sometimes it's nice out in the front to keep it nice and clean. So you could put the black landscape fabric down and dress it off with a nice stone then on top. And again, there's so many different coloured stones. Again, you're blending in the stone to complement everything then as well.
And then as well, you'd have the option of a bark mulch as well if you wanted. If there was a tree or something like that, it might also just kind of bring it all together between the bed and the small little tree.
And also as well, it is nice to have a bit of a lawn.
Yeah.
Do you know, there's nothing as nice as a nice green lawn. You can have the back lawn if you want to encourage more wildflowers, put down, the wildflower seed or whatever in a little patch. But I think the front lawn, if you had it nice and green, and these can be your pollinators for the front.
Yeah.
And also as well, if you're living in an estate or a town or a village, and there's a lot of houses, there's a lot of pollutants then around then as well, between car fumes and all that. The plants can take all that then away as well.
Excellent, excellent. So planning, coming in, picking the right plants, thinking about the height, thinking about the views from coming in as well as out, as well as what it looks like inside. All of these things are key to it, but there are amazing things that you can do with a front garden, even with a small space.
There is.
And that's the one thing we want to tell everybody. If you've only got, as Trish was saying, if you're inside in a town where there's not much space, you can still make a beautiful place for plants, shrubs, colour, and also for yourself to kind of relax in.
Yeah, and also as well, you can add in if you don't have areas that you can plant, you have pots, hanging baskets, window boxes, climbers then up against your wall.
Yeah.
You can soften it in that way as well. And because like the front of the garden, there might be cement on the road or whatever, you need to soften all these areas, and plants are the thing to do it.
Excellent, excellent, brilliant. Well, listen, thanks very much again, Trish, for all your tips. That is pretty much all we got time for today here on the Kerry Garden Show. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've got some inspiration from all of these great ideas here today. From Trish, myself and Dave, until next time, happy gardening, and remember, send us in those photos. Talk to you next time.